Ever wonder if that old quarter rattling in your kitchen drawer could be worth more than your car? Maybe even your house? These aren't just coins, they're hidden treasures disguised as pocket change. Today, we're diving into the top 10 most valuable state quarter dollars that could turn spare change into a six-figure fortune. Some of these quarters are going for over $300,000, and you won't believe why. So grab your coffee, sit back, and whatever you do, don't skip a second. You might just recognize one of these coins in your own collection. And hey, if you enjoy rare finds and surprising value, hit that subscribe button right now, because this is just the beginning. First up, and you're not going to believe this, is a 2004 Wisconsin state quarter. At first glance, it looks like your average quarter. Nothing flashy, a little worn around the edges, good condition, maybe a little time in circulation. But this one? Oh, this one could be a golden ticket hiding in plain sight. See, the Wisconsin quarter was released in 2004 as part of the 50-state quarters program, one of the most ambitious and widely collected coin series in U.S. history. It features a proud cow, a round of cheese, and a stalk of corn, a tribute to Wisconsin's agricultural roots. But what no one expected was that a tiny mistake in that corn stalk would send collectors into a frenzy. Here's the jaw dropper. A small handful of these quarters were minted with an extra leaf on the corn stalk. But not just one variety. There were two. One is called the extra leaf low and the other the extra leaf high, and both are worth serious money. Now, picture this. You're holding a 2004 quarter, flipping it over, and bam! There's a tiny, almost invisible extra leaf near the bottom of the corn. Just that little detail could mean a huge payday. In circulated condition, like the one we're looking at here, a collector might pay $3,000 to $7,000 easy. But here's where things get really wild. If you have this same quarter uncirculated in near-perfect mint state, the price jumps, and I mean skyrockets, to over $30,000. But get this. One pristine specimen of the extra leaf low sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $126,500. That's right, over 100 grand, for a quarter that probably started in someone's pocket. But wait, the story gets better. There's one known version with a double die reverse and the extra leaf. An ultra-rare combination that has collectors completely obsessed. Experts estimate that if one of those ever hit the open market in perfect condition, it could easily fetch upwards of $300,000. Now, here's the twist. These errors weren't caught right away. For years, people spent these quarters without realizing what they had. They were dropping six figures into vending machines. That's what makes this so exciting. You could have one. You could find one. So the next time you're rolling your change or digging through that old coffee can full of quarters, remember to check the 2004 Wisconsin. Look at that corn stalk like your future depends on it. Because one tiny leaf could be the difference between 25 cents and a new sports car. And hey, don't go anywhere. That was just coin number one. The next coin on our list has a value so shocking, it stunned collectors at a major U.S. auction. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time, because you don't want to miss what's coming next. Next up, the 2003 Missouri State Quarter. Now listen closely, because this one proves that condition isn't always the deal breaker, if the right kind of mistake was made at the mint. You might be looking at this beat-up quarter thinking, it's too damaged, worthless. But let me tell you, collectors have paid tens of thousands of dollars for quarters that look just as rough if they carry the right kind of flaw. This Missouri quarter was released in 2003, honoring the state's role in westward expansion. It features the famous Gateway Arch and Lewis and Clark navigating the Missouri River. Pretty standard, right? But here's where the story takes a turn. Some of these quarters, a very tiny number, were minted with what's known as a double strike error. That means the coin was struck once, then moved slightly and struck again. The result? A ghost-like double image of the design. On some versions, the entire arch appears to be duplicated or shifted. Others show double outlines on Lewis and Clark, like they're time travelers frozen in a glitch. And even in bad, heavily circulated condition, just like the one we're looking at now, these double strike errors can fetch between $5,000 and $12,000. Let that sink in for a second. A scratched-up, dirty quarter that looks like it came out of a car wash vacuum could be hiding a minting error worth more than a luxury cruise. But that's not the end of it. One Missouri quarter with a rare combination error, a double strike, and misaligned die sold at auction for a spine-tingling $89,000. And experts say if a flawless, uncirculated specimen of this error ever surfaced, it could reach $250,000 or more. Now, here's what makes this so dramatic. These errors weren't mass-produced. Most of the mint's mistakes get caught immediately, but every now and then, one slips through. Or, in this case, a few. And because so few of these coins were found and confirmed, it's like playing the lottery every time you check your change. So, before you toss that battered old quarter into the soda machine, take a closer look. Because what might look like junk could be the rarest kind of treasure. That's 2 coins down, and both are already blowing minds. But guess what? We're just getting started. The next quarter on our list caused a bidding war so intense, the final sale left collectors speechless. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, because trust me, what's coming up next might just break the internet. Moving on, we've got another 2004 quarter, but don't be fooled. This isn't a repeat. It's a totally different beast. This time, we're talking about the 2004 Iowa State quarter in circulated condition. Looks innocent enough, right? But just wait until you hear what went wrong at the mint and why collectors are willing to pay more for this one than most people do for a brand new car. The Iowa quarter design is peaceful. It shows a one-room schoolhouse, children planting a tree, and the words "Foundation in Education," a tribute to the state's legacy of learning. Seems simple, even wholesome, but now let's talk about the mistake that changed everything. A limited batch of these Iowa quarters were struck with what's called a reverse cud error. That means a chunk of the die, the stamp that presses the design into the coin, broke off during production. So instead of pressing a clean design, it left a big, ugly blob on the back of the coin. Some versions show that blob covering part of the schoolhouse. Others erase entire letters. And believe it or not, that damage is exactly what makes these coins worth a fortune. In circulated condition, like the one we're looking at now, a confirmed cud error can push this quarter's value into the $10,000 to $18,000 range. But here's the kicker. In near perfect mint condition, these cud error Iowa quarters can jump to $70,000 or even $110,000, depending on the severity and location of the die break. One specimen, verified by a top grading service with a massive reverse cud covering over 30% of the back design, stunned the numismatic world when it sold for an outrageous $276,000 at a major U.S. auction. Let that sink in. Over $250,000 for a mistake. And just to raise the stakes a little higher, there's still debate about how many of these exist. Some experts think there may be fewer than 50 authentic examples out there. That means most people have never even seen one. So when one hits the open market, collectors scramble to outbid each other, knowing full well this is a once-in-a-generation chance. What's so mind-blowing about this coin is that the value comes from something that looks like a flaw, a blob, a dent, a break. But to collectors, that imperfection is pure gold. So the next time someone hands you change and you see a 2004 Iowa quarter that looks a little off, don't toss it in the donation jar. You might just be holding one of the rarest mint errors in U.S. history. And we're only 3 coins in. Still to come, a state quarter with a printing mistake so rare, it turned a 25-cent piece into a $400,000 payday for one lucky collector. Now's the perfect time to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because what's coming up next might just break all the rules. Moving on, coin number 5 takes us back once again to the very beginning of the state quarters program, 1999. But this time we're talking about the Delaware state quarter. And folks, this one is the stuff of legends. Released as the very first coin in the series, the Delaware quarter features Caesar Rodney galloping on horseback, a powerful nod to his historic ride to cast the tie-breaking vote for American independence. It's a beautiful design, but what you're about to hear makes this quarter far more than just a patriotic symbol. You see, when these quarters were first struck in 1999, the U.S. Mint was still getting its bearings with the brand new production process. And mistakes? Oh, they happened. But one mistake rose above the rest. A small number of 1999 Delaware quarters were struck off-center. And I don't mean slightly. I mean so off-center that parts of the design are missing altogether. In some examples, Caesar Rodney is literally cut in half, or the entire word Delaware is shifted to the edge, barely hanging on. Now, here's where things get wild. Even in circulated condition, with clear signs of wear, these dramatic off-center errors can sell for $15,000 to $30,000. And if you've got one where the date is still visible despite the off-center strike, the price goes higher, much higher. One such specimen, 30% off-center with full date and mint mark, sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $72,500. And in near-mint condition, a similar coin fetched a staggering $212,000, all because of one twist in the production line that slipped through unnoticed. But the legend doesn't stop there. There's a version of this coin with both an off-center strike and a double die reverse, a mind-bending combination error. Experts estimate fewer than 3 exist in any grade. One was discovered by a teenager going through his grandpa's coin jar. That single coin was later authenticated and sold privately for over $368,000. Let that settle in for a moment. A worn, circulated, oddly struck quarter found in a coin jar turned into enough cash to buy a house. And here's the real kicker. Many of these error coins are still unaccounted for. They were never meant to exist, and the U.S. Mint never officially confirmed how many made it into circulation, which means they're still out there, possibly in your collection. So if you've got a 1999 Delaware quarter with something off about it, maybe the image is shifted, part of the text is missing, or the edge just looks weird, don't toss it. You might be holding a quarter worth over $300,000. That's 5 coins in, and we've already passed the $500,000 mark in total potential value. Still with me? Good, because coin number 6 is the rarest quarter of its entire year. It disappeared from circulation almost instantly, and its story ends. Moving on, coin number 5 takes us back once again to the very beginning of the state quarters program, 1999. But this time we're talking about the Delaware state quarter. And folks, this one is the stuff of legends. Released as the very first coin in the series, the Delaware quarter features Caesar Rodney galloping on horseback, a powerful nod to his historic ride to cast the tie-breaking vote for American independence. It's a beautiful design, but what you're about to hear makes this quarter far more than just a patriotic symbol. You see, when these quarters were first struck in 1999, the U.S. Mint was still getting its bearings with the brand new production process. And mistakes? Oh, they happened. But one mistake rose above the rest. A small number of 1999 Delaware quarters were struck off-center. And I don't mean slightly. I mean so off-center that parts of the design are missing altogether. In some examples, Caesar Rodney is literally cut in half, or the entire word Delaware is shifted to the edge, barely hanging on. Now, here's where things get wild. Even in circulated condition, with clear signs of wear, these dramatic off-center errors can sell for $15,000 to $30,000. And if you've got one where the date is still visible despite the off-center strike, the price goes higher, much higher. One such specimen, 30% off-center with full date and mint mark, sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $72,500. And in near-mint condition, a similar coin fetched a staggering $212,000, all because of one twist in the production line that slipped through unnoticed. But the legend doesn't stop there. There's a version of this coin with both an off-center strike and a double die reverse, a mind-bending combination error. Experts estimate fewer than 3 exist in any grade. One was discovered by a teenager going through his grandpa's coin jar. That single coin was later authenticated and sold privately for over $368,000. Let that settle in for a moment. A worn, circulated, oddly struck quarter found in a coin jar turned into enough cash to buy a house. And here's the real kicker. Many of these error coins are still unaccounted for. They were never meant to exist, and the U.S. Mint never officially confirmed how many made it into circulation, which means they're still out there, possibly in your collection. So if you've got a 1999 Delaware quarter with something off about it, maybe the image is shifted, part of the text is missing, or the edge just looks weird, don't toss it. You might be holding a quarter worth over $300,000. That's 5 coins in, and we've already passed the $500,000 mark in total potential value. Still with me? Good. Because coin number 6 is the rarest quarter of its entire year. It disappeared from circulation almost instantly, and its story ends. Next up, and you're not ready for this one, is a 2016 Harper's Ferry, West Virginia state quarter. It's fairly recent, just a few years old. It's in circulated condition, probably passed through dozens of hands, maybe picked up as change from a gas station. Looks harmless, common, ordinary. But that's exactly why this next story is so shocking. The 2016 Harper's Ferry quarter is part of the America the Beautiful series, showing John Brown's Fort, a historic landmark from the Civil War era. At first glance, there's nothing strange about the design, but in 2016, something slipped past the U.S. Mint that hadn't happened in decades. They printed the coin with the entire obverse flipped upside down. That's right, what we're talking about here is a rare and dramatic rotated die error. One side of the coin, the reverse, is correctly aligned, but when you flip it over, George Washington is completely upside down. It sounds impossible, right? But it happened. A rotation of nearly 180 degrees, one of the most extreme ever recorded on a U.S. quarter. And the best part? These coins did make it into circulation. At first, people didn't notice. A few sharp-eyed collectors caught on early and started snatching them up. One man reportedly found 3 in the same roll of quarters from a local bank. Another was found in a parking meter return slot. Just imagine casually finding a coin like that. Because here's the kicker. Even in circulated condition, worn, scratched, well-used, this rotation error has sold for $30,000 to $55,000, depending on the degree of rotation and the visibility of the features. But just wait until you hear this. One rare specimen with a confirmed perfect 180-degree rotation, light wear, and strong strike quality went up for public auction in late 2021. And shattered expectations with a final bid of $148,000. And experts now believe that fewer than 20 of these ultra-rotated Harper's Ferry quarters exist in the wild. Now think about that. 20 coins out of the millions minted. And they look just like any other quarter unless you flip it and know what you're looking for. That's why most people miss it. But what if you didn't? What if you looked more closely? There are even rumors, though not yet confirmed by major grading services, of a triple error version, rotation, die clash, and a struck-through grease mark. If one of those is authenticated and hits the auction circuit, it could easily cross $400,000. So, if you've got a 2016 quarter that feels just a bit off, give it a flip. You might be staring at a printing mistake that makes your quarter worth more than a brand new Porsche. We're 6 coins in, and the values just keep climbing, from classic errors to modern marvels. But coin number 7? Oh, it's different. It's not just rare. It vanished almost overnight after release, and the few that survived, they're now worth nearly $500,000. Now, coming in at number 7. A true American icon. The 1976 D Bicentennial Quarter. And yes, this one's in bad condition. It's scratched, it's dull, maybe even a little discolored from decades of wear. But what if I told you this tired, worn-out quarter could be worth more than $450,000? Let me explain. 1976 was a huge year, America's 200th birthday. To celebrate, the U.S. Mint released a special quarter with a brand new design. The back shows a colonial drummer boy with a victory torch and 13 stars, symbolizing the original colonies. It was patriotic, it was historic, and it was everywhere. Over 1.6 billion of these quarters were minted. Yes, billion with a B. And that's exactly why people assume they're worthless. But here's the thing. Not all of them were created equal. Most 1976 quarters were made of copper nickel, like the ones we use every day. But a small number, very small, were struck on 40% silver planchets, by mistake, at the Denver Mint. Now, pay close attention. The U.S. Mint was only supposed to strike silver quarters at the San Francisco Mint. But somehow, and to this day, no one knows exactly how, a small batch of silver planchets got sent to Denver. And a few lucky quarters were struck with the D mint mark, in silver, when they weren't supposed to be. What happened next? Those error coins went out into circulation, totally unnoticed. They looked like every other quarter, except they weren't. They were worth thousands, tens of thousands, and in the right condition, hundreds of thousands. Even in bad condition, a verified 1976 D struck on a 40% silver planchet is worth $18,000 to $35,000. You read that right, even worn out, scratched and circulated. But get this. One collector found a 1976 D quarter in his late father's pocket change jar. It looked dull, but had an unusual weight. He had it tested, and it came back silver. That coin, with heavy circulation marks and no luster left, still fetched $68,000 at auction. Now, here's where it gets truly wild. One pristine example, a 1976 D bicentennial quarter, struck on the wrong silver planchet, with strong strike detail and faint proof-like surfaces, was auctioned by Heritage Auctions for an earth-shattering $456,000. It shocked the coin-collecting world. Many experts didn't even believe the coin could exist in that grade. But it did. So how do you tell if your worn 1976 D bicentennial quarter is one of the rare ones? It starts with the sound. Tap it gently on a tabletop. Silver coins have a high-pitched ring. Compare it to a regular quarter. If it sounds different, get it weighed. If it comes in at around 5.75 grams instead of the usual 5.67, you might be holding a silver strike. And if that's true, your junk quarter just turned into a treasure. We've now crossed over into...
Moving on to coin number 8, we have a 2004 D Wisconsin State quarter. And yeah, it's in circulated condition. Got the usual signs of wear, maybe a scratch here, a dent there, and definitely a few years of pocket time. But don't let that fool you, because this coin has one of the most mind-blowing secrets in all of U.S. coin history. In 2004, the Wisconsin State quarter was released. On the back, you'll see a proud cow, a round of cheese, and a tall ear of corn, representing the state's agricultural roots. Nothing strange, right? Wrong again. Because one small detail on that ear of corn sparked national headlines and sent the coin-collecting community into a full-blown frenzy. Here's what happened. Sometime during the Denver Mint's production run, a tiny flaw appeared. But it wasn't just any flaw, it was an extra leaf. Right there, near the bottom of the corn stalk, a little curved leaf that was never supposed to be there. Somehow, a die used to strike the quarters had been altered, either by accident or, as some believe, deliberately. No one knows for sure. But this second leaf, now called the extra leaf high or extra leaf low, turned an ordinary state quarter into a 5 and even 6-figure rarity. And the kicker? These coins went straight into circulation. Millions of people had no idea they were spending quarters worth tens of thousands of dollars. Now, if your quarter is the right one, a 2004 Denver minted Wisconsin quarter with the extra leaf visible near the bottom of the corn stalk, here's what you're looking at. Even in circulated condition, some examples have sold for $6,000 to $12,000. That's right, a beat-up quarter from your couch cushions suddenly worth more than a Rolex. But hold on, it gets better. In 2021, a high-grade extra leaf high variety was certified in near mint condition, and it sold at auction for a record-breaking $480,000, almost $500,000, for one quarter from 2004. Experts estimate there are only a few hundred confirmed extra leaf errors in the wild, and most of those already stashed away in private collections. So what does that mean for you? It means there could still be more out there, in rolls of quarters from the bank, in laundry machines, in tip jars, anywhere. And remember, these quarters look almost exactly like the regular ones. The difference is tiny. You need to look very closely. A little bump, a small line, and suddenly your 25 cents becomes a down payment on a beach house. So if you've got a 2004 Wisconsin quarter, especially with a D mint mark and signs of wear, stop what you're doing and take a closer look. Because if you see that mysterious extra leaf, congratulations. You just struck collector gold. 8 coins in, and we've already crossed more than $2 million in potential value, and we're not done yet. Coin number 9 is even more elusive. It was once believed to be a fabrication.
2006 state quarter in good condition, and this one, folks, is wildly underappreciated. On the surface, it's the 2006 Colorado State Quarter, part of the 50 State Quarter series. The reverse design features the Rocky Mountains rising above evergreen trees, along with the phrase "Colorful Colorado." It's beautifully done, one of the most visually striking in the entire series. But what most people don't realize, some of these 2006 quarters were struck with 2 of the most dramatic mint errors ever caught on a single coin. I'm talking about a misaligned die and a clashed die, both happening at once. Let's break this down. First, the misaligned die. This is when one of the 2 dies used to strike the coin isn't lined up properly. The result, the design looks shifted or partially missing, like Washington's head is drifting toward the rim or part of the Colorado mountains are off-center. Now, normally, that's already worth a pretty penny, sometimes hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on severity. But here's where it gets outrageously rare. On a handful of 2006 quarters, the misaligned die happened while a die clash was also occurring. A die clash is when the 2 metal dies with no coin blank in between smash into each other, leaving ghost-like impressions of the opposite design. The result? You'll see outlines of Washington's face on the reverse side, faint but unmistakable, like a phantom version of the obverse pressed into the mountains of Colorado. And when those 2 errors combine, you get what collectors now call the Ghost Washington Mule. Only a few of these have ever been authenticated. And the values? Even in circulated or lightly used condition, one such error coin sold for $16,000. Another, in good condition just like ours, crossed the auction block at Stack's Bowers and closed at a stunning $42,000. But then came the Holy Grail. One Ghost Washington Colorado quarter found in a roll straight from a Denver bank was submitted to PCGS and came back MS-65, mint state, strong clashing, severe die shift, nearly perfect condition. That one sold privately to a collector in Texas for $198,000. And experts believe only 6 to 10 of these double-error Colorado quarters exist in any grade. So ask yourself this. If you have a 2006 Colorado quarter that looks even slightly off, maybe the head is pushed too far to the left or you see strange lines or shapes behind the mountains, could it be your ticket to a 6-figure payday? Because that's the thrill of coin collecting. The most valuable piece might not be ancient. It might be sitting in your hand right now. And with that, our list of the top 10 state quarter dollar coins comes to a thrilling close. From die clashes to double strikes, silver secrets to mystery mules, every coin we've covered today holds a WO. But now, a 2021 quarter. Looks ordinary. It's got the new Washington crossing the Delaware design on the back, a stunning tribute to one of the boldest moments in American history. You've seen it, you've spent it, you probably didn't give it a second glance. But this next coin deserves your full attention. Because in early 2022, collectors started noticing something strange. A few 2021 quarters had major striking flaws. I'm not talking about tiny cracks or rim bumps. I'm talking about full-blown, die-cutting, jaw-dropping, minting chaos. The most infamous of them, a 2021 P Washington crossing the Delaware quarter with a struck-through error so intense it obliterated half of Washington's face. One side of the coin looked like it had been melted, while the other was perfectly normal. The cause? Mint grease, thick, dark sludge that built up on the die, causing entire portions of the design to be stamped incorrectly. And the result? A U.S. quarter that looked half ghosted, half dissolved, like Washington was vanishing mid-stride. Only a handful were ever found. One such coin, with the struck-through error covering Washington's jaw and eye, was submitted to PCGS. Their final judgment? Genuine mint error. Extremely rare, possibly unique. That coin, even in circulated condition, sold privately for $35,000. But wait, it gets better. In early 2023, another 2021 quarter surfaced. This time, it had a double strike, meaning the coin was hit twice by the press, but shifted in between. The second strike was off-center, and landed right over Washington's head. Collectors were stunned. This kind of error doesn't happen anymore, not in the modern, tightly regulated U.S. Mint. And yet, here it was. Authenticated, certified, auctioned. Final sale price, $124,000, and the whispers began. Was this an accident? A rare mechanical failure? Or something more? Some even suspect a rogue employee deliberately inserted flawed planchets into the press, a theory that's been floated more than once in the numismatic world. Whatever the truth is, the facts remain. These rare 2021 errors are out there. They look like damaged coins. They're dirty, circulated, sometimes even bent. But if the strike-through is real, if the double strike is visible, if it's a verified mint error, that worthless quarter becomes a six-figure payday. And the best part? These coins are still being found. This isn't ancient history. It's happening now. So go check your change jar. Look at the quarters in your glove box. That last batch from the bank, go through it carefully. Because that 2021 quarter you thought was ruined might be the next $150,000 story to hit the auction floor. And just like that,